Alright, it is 9:51 and I have one trade with CZNI and this one did not work out, and maybe this was just time for me to have a trade that did not work out, or maybe my wisdom teeth was pulled out yesterday, so I'm not feeling my best. But I did have a trade here and it didn't work out, and I could have been much more patient with this. In theory with CZNI, this thing was in my mind gap down morning panic bounce way. So the idea was is that I had a close right here around this 12 sub penny level, and then we just have this gap 40% down on the day. And when I saw it, it looked like it was trying to turn around right here and there, so I thought it was going to be like a gap down, and then it immediately starts to spike because that's what it looked like at the time. And I did get in the setup. I didn't even calculate the right amount of shares I needed for this trade. I actually should have had to have traded more shares, not 60,000 but something more. And I think if I just took the time to maybe calculate how many shares I would have had, I would have maybe have potentially missed out if it were to have morning spiked immediately. But in this case, especially with this one, because it trades very tricky, I probably could have been in at a better price, and I would probably be break even right now, and I would have more shares, and I would have given myself a better opportunity to be much more profitable. I did get in at 931, 60,000 shares at 8, which was right here. And it just didn't work out because it did ultimately fail to hold 7 at the bid, and it broke under and it started trading back and forth from the 6s to the 7s, and I thought I was gonna consider getting out of the trade if we do break below the 6s, because at this point it became like a new day low. And I did sell in two pieces. I sold half of my position at 7 when it did uptrend and we started to break past 7 and now have 8 at the ask, like the way it is right now. And that was at 941. I did sell half of my position right here, and that was a sell maybe right when it was starting to transition. Yeah, because it was just 941.03, so right around here when it had the first blip, getting past the 7s, I did sell a piece right there when it was at the bid. And then I did get out of this completely at 943, exactly at 7. So that was right here. Again, probably executed here, or maybe um, likely the case that, or perhaps right when it started the transition, because it doesn't really show that it was trading 7 by 6. But yeah, that was a trade I had there. In theory, I could have again calculated how many shares I needed, and I could have missed out on the morning spike, but I shouldn't, chase setups. Even if it looks like it's gonna do it right then and there. If that is the case, they're usually more sketchy anyway. I would have had more shares, and I would have been in at 7 instead of 8, because it did downtrend and start to trade back and forth between 6 and 7. And then I would have been able to have gotten out for break even when it looks like it's just taking too long for it to do a spike. So that could have been the case with that, or maybe I could have even sold at the ask at 8 and made a profit. So I think a lot of lessons were learned with this. DRFS did offer a morning panic bounce play, but I don't like the way this one is trading, and they do have very large sellers at the ask that come out of nowhere. So no trades with this one. I will keep looking for setups, but that's really all I see at the moment. I do want to see if CZNI can get above 8 at any point, but this isn't like a gap down morning panic bounce play, because it would have ideally by now have broken this 8 level and uptrended or had some kind of a spike, and it hasn't done anything like that. So yeah, that's L that I took there. I could have been break even with this one very easily with more size. A few things I could have been better with, but I will make an update, and it's a good lesson learned. Okay, it is 10:17 and I had a second trade, and I think at this point I'm probably going to be really hesitant on trading something unless I see something that is just so beautiful I have to trade it, because I don't know if it's just not my day, or because I'm not at my best, because my again, my wisdom teeth was pulled out, so I do feel a little off. But I did have one more trade with INND, and this one did not work out. But I knew this one didn't have to work out because I was, in theory, playing it early. But I did like how it was following this trend line that I drew here based off of this level. And I was thinking that perhaps this could be something where, it's right at its highs. And then there was a big 200, no, not a 200, but it was like one of these. It was a 2 million share bidder. supporting it. And I did think that maybe with that big bidder supporting the bid, and then with the small amount of people at the ask minus the people that were at 1 cent, that it could do an uptrend over a longer period of time and break out and get to 1 penny, and then that could be super nice. And it is the second day on this runner, so I thought there was a potential with that. And it ultimately didn't work out because there were just too many people dumping their shares at the bid. Maybe they were in at a different price and they're bag holders, or maybe they're selling for profits. I don't know, but it just didn't work out. I did get in at 10:05, 15,000 shares at 96, which was right here, 10:05, right here, this one right here at 96. This is when I got in. And it was looking nice again, especially because we had a very big bidder supporting it. But that person was taken out, and then it broke under the trend line, and I thought, all right, well, I've had this happen before where something breaks a trend line that I made, and then I get out of the position, and then it uptrends immediately past it because you shouldn't be so particular with trend lines, especially if I'm trying to be in on a potential breakout towards this 1 penny level. And when it just looked like it made a new low at 94, and it appeared like it was going to actually take out 94, I thought, all right, this could be like a downtrend over a longer period of time. And, this did have a pretty big dip under VWAP, and now it uptrended and then get to break the day high or get to 1 penny. And then maybe now it can drop and then perhaps hold VWAP, hold above it like it's trying right here, and then maybe it can eventually make a move towards the upside, especially if it happens around like 11 or 12, because that's when a lot of breakouts tend to happen. That could be a setup, but I was trying to be in early thinking that I could try to do it right then and there at this point, and it didn't. At 10:11, I did get out at this. It was at 95, it was 94 and a half, 15,000 shares at 10:11, which was right here, because it was looking like it was going to break the 94 level and get to the 93s, and I didn't want to be in something that was just going to downtrend over a longer period of time. So I'm still watching it. I wish it could have more volume, and if it could try to turn around and break this 95 level, perhaps that could be something I can take into consideration. But this was a tiny loss here, just like $2. And then with the one with CZNI, this one I could have been out break even. And this one I'm down like 6, so I'm gonna be down like $8, which is gonna be fine. Because I don't have red days that often, and it's not like I have a whole bunch of green days, and then when I do have a red day, it's like wipes out 3 weeks of work or something crazy like that. I'm not doing anything like that at all, thankfully, but it still sucks to have else. And I will keep looking for setups, but I'm gonna be pretty hesitant. It has to be super clean at this point, just in case it's just not my day. All right, it is 11:37 a.m. and I did trade another one. This one was EMGE, and this setup was nice. It worked out. I was even watching it when it had the first drop here from this 208 level to the 190s, thinking it could be like a higher low off of these two. But despite the fact that there was a lot of bidders supporting it, there were a lot of people dumping their shares at the bid, like INND. So I never traded it, and it did drop. And I had a trend line. It's not there anymore. I must have removed it, but it was something like this. And it was nice because, it was following this trend line and tried to get out of it. Then it sold off some more, but then once it hit like a bottom right here in the 18 level, and then it was showing that it was trying to hold this level. Now it was starting to be a little further away from where it would be if it was still following VWAP, and it started to uptrend, and I got in 6,000 shares, and that was the issue. I didn't trade that much here because I didn't have that much confidence. I think I gave it a really, really wide risk level of 14, like being worst case scenario that it just has a big panic, which maybe wasn't that realistic. If I had maybe a higher risk level like the 16 level, maybe I would have had more shares, and I think that's probably what I should have done, because it just seems a little too much for it to get below the day low and then drop another three levels. It just seems like that's a bit too much, but I wasn't, at my most confident point because I had those two other red trades, and I again have some pain from having the wisdom teeth removed and everything. So I did take it super cautiously, but I still got in because the setup was there, and I bought 6,000 shares at 19. That was at 1036. Right here, I was in at 19, and I sold in a bunch of tiny pieces, playing it super conservatively. As you can see, I did sell a third of my position at 192. The very, I guess not next minute, but like 2 minutes later at 1038. I sold right here some at 192, and then I sold some at 196, which was a bit higher. Then I sold some at 2. And then I sold some at the very tippy top, 208. I did manage to sell a tiny piece there. And then the last piece I sold when it broke under the trend line, which was perfect. That's how I want to trade it. You know, sell on the way up, but then still have one piece left so that if it continues to go up, it could be really profitable. But you know, if it breaks the trend line, I'll be out, and then that'll be, you know, me giving it my best with what it was able to offer. So that was a trade with that. I'm still gonna have a red day, but it won't be as big, and that's fine. And INND did do the thing I was talking about. This trend line was from some other day, but it did do the thing where it dropped, it held VWAP, and then it broke 1 penny. And when I got out of this trade with EMGE, it was 10:42, and that's when I left the computer. Just a few minutes later, you know, it broke past 1, and this might have been hard because it was a lot of volume. But it did do it. It was a 10% move from this 1 level as high as this 11 level. Yeah, this was cool. I could have been a part of this one as well. I just didn't see it. And maybe I would have had more shares on this one because I had more confidence because I did trade one that worked out. But yeah, that's pretty much about it. Unless I see something really nice. And if I can get better, um, I'll trade it. But otherwise, I think that might be it for today. It's having an uptrend now, but I wouldn't have really have been interested in this because the volume isn't what it used to be. It's been fading slowly, but I will make an update later, probably when the market is closed. Alright, it is 10:59 p.m. and I am here to call it off. Overall, this is going to be my first red day in a while. I'm going to be down $4.50, and that was with 3 trades. 2 of them did not work out, although INND did play out. It's just that I tried to be in early, thinking that it could try to do it here, and it's not, I guess, the best odds. It didn't do it, but it did do it later, and I totally missed out on this one. And then I had that one trade with EMGE that did work out, but I needed to have more shares. So there were a few things I could have done better for sure, and I don't want to go over again the same things that I mentioned, especially with CZNI, but a bunch of good lessons were learned. A little weird trying to figure out if it's just because I'm not at the best state right now, especially with like about, I don't know, 4 to 5 hours of sleep. Or maybe it was just my trading. Maybe it was a bit of both. I'm going to guess it was both. But I'm going to try to do my best tomorrow, God willing. And yeah, just have to keep going. A bunch of lessons were learned. And that's all I have for today.